This is Dr. Chika Oriuwa, the daughter of Nigerian immigrants in Canada. As a child, she always knew she wanted to be a doctor. But what she did not expect was that she would be the only black student in a medical class of 259 students at the University of Toronto. She had already been the only black student in her class at McMaster, but she figured out that at the University of Toronto, she wouldn't be the only one because there was a Black Medical Students Association at the university. But when she came, she found herself one of 259 students. How does this happen in modern Canada? To understand that, we have to go back more than 100 years to Queen's University in Ontario. And I'm going to read verbatim from their own website. In 1918, a motion to ban black students from the School of Medicine was adopted by Queen's University Senate. Although black students were admitted again to the school starting in 1965, the motion was never repealed until its existence was brought to light by PhD candidate Edward Thomas. The 1918 motion was revoked by Senate 100 years after its adoption, and Queen's University offered a public apology for the ban. There had been 15 black medical students enrolled at Queen's when the ban was enacted. In his apology, Queen acknowledged that the university had derailed the medical careers of at least 2 black students who had been forced to leave Queen's and who were then unable to find placement at any other medical school. One of those students was Ethelbert Bartholomew, a member of the class of 1918. After leaving Queen's, Mr. Bartholomew worked as a porter for Canadian Pacific Railways. He died in 1954. In a 2019 convocation ceremony, Queen's conferred a posthumous Doctor of Medicine degree upon Dr. Bartholomew, which was accepted by members of his family.
Today, we're also going to be conferring a degree that should have been presented 100 years ago.
I decided to read it out. I did not want to paraphrase so that you can catch it in their own words. That was Queen's own website writing this. Imagine after being a medical student and then you find yourself as a porter. You know, porters, they clean shoes, all those shoe shiners in railways. That was what Mr. Bartholomew found himself to be doing. When I was doing this research, this part of the story just made me so sad. That is why I cannot understand tribalism and xenophobia in the black race. Because the reason Queen's University gave for the ban is so ugly. So why were black students banned from studying medicine? At the time, Queen said local patients supposedly did not want black resident doctors or doctors to treat them. And white soldiers returning from World War I refused black doctors to treat them. So they just decided to cut out black students from studying medicine. But later, historical research found out that Queen's wanted to protect its standing with the American Medical Association, which was heavily segregated at that time. If you're enjoying these stories or you like stories like these that encourage us to challenge the narrative or celebrate our people who have challenged the narratives, you will like my newsletter, Settled Not for Less. It's for Nigerians building a life abroad and not willing to settle for less. I'll leave the QR code on this video and the link in the description so you can subscribe. I'll see you there. To crown it all, Queen's was not the only Canadian university where black medical students faced this kind of discrimination. McGill also has documented history of excluding and restricting black medical students. So even when the barrier started disappearing, the numbers of black medical students getting admission into these Canadian medical schools did not suddenly increase. So when Chika walked into U of T as the only black student of 259 students, it was not random. There was already history there. She has written a book talking about her experience. It's called Unlike the Rest. I'm reading it. I'm not done. I will make sure my daughter reads it. And I will encourage you to grab that book and read and share with your kids. She detailed her experience in that book and she had done several interviews and which I have taken my time to watch. You know, the common thread is that being the only one, according to her, had a massive toll on her mental health. She described it as death by 1,000 cuts. On day one, someone asked if admission standards were lower just so she can get admission, or if she actually gained admission by merit. As per, patients refused her to care for them or assumed that her white colleagues were the real doctors. She was just carrying plates and following them. What do you expect? Because those patients are already used to not seeing black doctors. There can't be black doctors when there are no black doctors graduating from the school. And that's why most times the doctors we see, the black doctors we see, are immigrant doctors. They were driving to the US and they were stopped, and the US border officer was asking them what they were doing. Her friends were saying, oh, they are medical students. And she said she was also a medical student. Or I think she said the border officer asked her, even you? And she said, yeah, she was a medical student. And she was accused of lying because, hey, a black kid, medical student. And it makes you wonder, because it's like a thing amongst us that, oh, we push our children to study medicine. But it's strange to see a young Canadian medical student in Canada. In the opening of her book, she was detailing how she was caring for patients and going from one patient to the other. She was mistaken as a cleaner. Even though she had her doctor's scrubs and her stethoscope on, she was told that she forgot to clean vomit that has been there. Because they are used to seeing black people as cleaners, you hardly see a black doctor. That's why somebody can see a doctor dressed, even though a student doctor, dressed in scrubs, carrying their equipment, and you still think they are a cleaner. But Chika didn't just put her head down and endure this thing or say, that's how it's always been. That's how we met it. That's how we live it. Canada has always been like that. No, she didn't do that. She stepped up as an ambassador for University of Toronto's Black Student Application Program. She spoke out, she talked about her experience as the only black person in a classroom of 259 students, and advocated alongside other black medical professionals, students, faculty members who were also pushing for systemic change. By 2020, University of Toronto admitted 24 black medical students in a single class, the largest in Canadian history at the time. Today, University of Toronto says there are more than 80 black students in their medical program. And all around Canadian universities, they have eased up on the restriction of black medical students. We know that getting into a medical program in Canada is really hard because we have 14 medical schools. Then adding a barrier because of your race too makes it almost impossible for black students to gain admission into medical programs in Canada. I've seen people send their children to the US, to the Caribbean, to the UK to study medicine because they say it's almost impossible to get it. But now it has begun to ease up. So if you have a child or you intend to study medicine in Canada, I think you should know this history and you should know how to get yourself set up, because it's not just only doing exams and all that. If you have people who have gone through that system, they are willing to mentor you. Yes, gaining admission into a medical program will not be so difficult or nearly impossible. Dr. Chika was chosen to be the valedictorian for her class. She was the first black woman to hold that honor at the University of Toronto Medicine. In 2021, Mattel made a Barbie doll in her likeness. She was the only Canadian among 6 healthcare workers to be honored with one-of-a-kind dolls. And Mattel said they specifically chose her because of her work against racism in healthcare. In 2024, she established the Dr. Chika Oriuwa Award for the Advancement of Black Health, which recognizes graduating medical students doing work to improve Black health. Who would have thought there was something like Black health? And who would have thought that the daughter of Nigerian immigrants would be the champion of these healthcare changes in Canada? Today, Dr. Chika is a psychiatrist and a proud mother of 2. I hope our story inspired you to do better and make the change you want to see. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.